I'd like to present to you all an interesting tale of an ideal way to separate road from rail. This has been a problem of scale for the state of Victoria, and the taxpayers have been promised a total euphoria. The scope of 50 crossings will be no easy feat and cannot be solved with just steel and concrete. The successful consortium should not be the lowest bidder, but report on the community-based elements to consider. So to alleviate the problems and political pollution, we are here today to present the ultimate solution, the Smart Separations Framework. Over the next 8 years, the state government has pledged to deliver a coordinated program to remove 50 of the worst level crossings across Melbourne, improving safety, reducing congestion, and enabling most frequent train services. Some of the problems with level crossings are that there are 200 incidents in the past 10 years. $5.2 billion is the cost of congestion. 30 to 40 minutes is the time the boom gates are down. And the average commuter is delayed 48 seconds for every kilometre travelled, and there are less people walking to the station. Therefore, the government needs a simple and effective framework that can identify and assess positive outcomes to ensure the value is maximised for the local communities.
Level crossings can have an unsurmountable impact on the communities that they occur in, because they've typically been regarded as a simple engineering project with little care for the community. This is an example of a level crossing in Melbourne, road over rail. While the transport network has benefited from this level crossing removal, the community certainly has not. You can see here the negative impacts that the level crossing has had on the local shopping centre. The amenity is horrific, the businesses have closed, and the shops are up for rent. It's also created an unsafe precinct around the station. This simply cannot continue. So to rectify these issues and alleviate the chance of this happening again, we're here to introduce the Smart Separations Framework, which for the first time in Victoria in construction, will be providing a quantifiable ranking framework that will be handed out at the EOI stage of a project and used to select the preferred consortium. It mandates community involvement throughout the design process and for the first time holds these consortiums accountable for delivering the qualitative aspects of a project. The framework is split into 5 categories to ensure that these qualitative elements are considered. Firstly, the safety of all transport and community users is acknowledged. Secondly, the economics look at the opportunities and alternative funding opportunities such as value capture or streamlined construction techniques. The productivity category is evaluated by utilising existing traffic flow data and interchange times. The community category looks at the integration of the crossing into the active centres and creating opportunities for interactive community spaces. And finally, the environmental category investigates how heritage, culture and ecology can be worked into these spaces to make them a true identity for the local community.
In application, the Smart Separations Framework provides elements based on the specific needs of the site. To do this, you first have to understand the local context, what's on the ground, and the community that use the site. Take Oakley, for example. You first have to understand the existing conditions. Oakley is in Melbourne's southeastern suburbs and is an activity centre with commercial and retail premises, but also serves as an important community hub and transport interchange. You then have to understand the future vision of the area. And for Oakley, that is to be an attractive, safe and highly accessible place, to be a vibrant, prosperous place which also fosters social and cultural development, and to provide more diverse housing stock within the centre. What's clear at the moment is Oakley hasn't quite realised that vision, and the existing grade separation is holding it back. Let's take a closer look. The grade separation has resulted in an unsafe, poorly lit space under the bridge, disconnected transport links, particularly the east-west connectivity of the bike path, or the lack thereof, lack of safe pedestrian access and universal accessibility, businesses have closed, and an ineffective transport interchange.
As you can see, vehicle productivity was given priority at Oakley, with little consideration given to local businesses, walkability and the amenity of the area. The Smart Separations Framework prioritises the categories by drawing upon the site's context and future vision to create site-specific design criteria for each grade separation. The framework utilises a rating system to allocate points into different categories to achieve the target ratings for each one. For example, in network productivity, 14 points have been allocated to rail graded under road because of the drastic amenity and productivity improvements this offers. However, elements such as proximity and availability of car spaces is given a lower rating to encourage active transport use to the station. While some elements are optional, those within the grey lines represent non-negotiable criteria and are to be built into every category to ensure quality design outcomes at every site. In the case of Oakley, the categories have been prioritised according to the context, with network productivity the most important, followed by safety, community, economic and environment. The complex point allocation system can be seen throughout each category, creating both individual category target ratings and for the overall project. So what if the Smart Separations Framework was applied to Oakley? Lowering the rail will ensure the amenity and subsequent economic output of the centre isn't affected. The station becomes a safe and accessible link to encourage people to use public transport. The road is lowered to create a bridge at grade, improving the amenity to the surrounding buildings. An organised bus interchange improves network productivity and further encourages public transport use. Improved pedestrian and bicycle links creates a more walkable activity centre which has positive environmental and health outcomes for the community. The station and new pedestrian links are expanded to create a civic space and establish a vital walkability throughout the activity centre. Creation of the new retail space creates passive surveillance of the once derelict area, whilst also encouraging local employment opportunities and rent to offset the capital cost. Inclusionary zoning for government-owned land creates affordable housing for the local community. And finally, linking and creating more green space has a positive environmental and amenity outcomes. Level crossing removals present a unique opportunity to reshape Melbourne. If the Smart Separations Framework was applied before this grade separation was constructed, Oakley could have been a more vibrant, economically prosperous and accessible place. Although this didn't happen, it can for the 50 level crossing removal sites across Melbourne.
The major advantage of the Smart Separations Framework is it has the potential to be applied to most, if not all, of the upcoming grade separations. As Ed discussed, the location, type and strategic vision of the surrounding area will ensure that different locations receive different outcomes. For example, the grade separation to occur along Corriott Creek Road in Altona is situated in an industrial area and as such little prospect of a community hub. This means that network productivity is key and needs to be prioritised accordingly. At Bell Street in Preston, community outcomes must come before all else, as it has the potential to be a high quality public realm. And at one of the worst level crossing black spots in the state, Thompson Road, Cranbourne, safety is paramount and must be prioritised. Implementing the framework is the most important and vital step to ensuring its success. To do this, it must be introduced at the tendering stage of a project, with the Level Crossing Removal Authority allocating target ratings for each of the 5 categories. This gives the contractors a chance to submit a proposal which addresses and achieves these ratings. This information then must be considered when awarding a project. In summary, our Smart Separations Framework creates a non-restrictive framework embracing and responding to diverse community values. It maximises value by analysing and addressing all project elements. And finally, it quantifies qualitative elements, removing conjecture and confusion.
The works presented today should firm up the impression that we are now equipped to move forward with steady progression. The successful consortium should not be the lowest bidder, but design of the community-based elements to consider. This framework will ensure the community is the priority and not a taxpayer dollar is lost to political seniority. So go back to your MPs and speak without hesitation that the Smart Separations Framework is the strongest innovation.